In this study, 3 pumping stations are located at different levels at Lake Mead. A comparison between 2 satellite images shows Lake Mead at its highest level in 1983 and the lowest level in 2022. The distribution of the electrical power that is produced by the dam and the list of cities and states that receive the power. The location of Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. The distribution of the Colorado River's water between the United States and Mexico and the treaty between the United States and Mexico. The distribution of the upper basin and the lower basin of the Colorado River. History and information about the water level in Lake Mead. There are 3 pumping stations located at different levels at Lake Mead: Intake 1, Intake 2, Intake 3. Intake 1 was installed in 1971, Intake 2 was installed in 2000, Intake 3 went into operation in September 2015. Intake number 3 ensures Southern Nevada's access to its water supply in case lake levels continue to decrease due to drought. It also protects water customers from water quality issues that may be associated with declining water levels. Years ago, when the lake was at full capacity, the level was about 1,225 feet. The water level has continued to decrease over the past few years. If the water level falls below 1,050 feet, Intake 1 stops operating. In July 2022, the water level was around 1,040 feet. If the water level falls below 1,000 feet, Intake 2 stops operating. If the water level falls below 900 feet, Intake 3 stops operating. A view of Lake Mead with lower water level. In this study, I used images that were taken in 1983 and 2022. This chart shows a history of the water level in Lake Mead from the beginning of its operation until 2020, but the level drops even lower in 2022. Lake Mead in 1983 when it reached the highest level. Lake Mead in 2022 when it reached the lowest level ever. Satellite images show drastic decreases in water levels in many areas of the lake. The distribution of the electricity that is generated by the Hoover Dam will be shown in the following slides. The 4 intake towers. Each tower is 395 feet high and each tower controls 25% of the water supply for the power plant turbines. Energy that is generated at the Hoover Dam is allocated to the following cities and states. As the chart shows, the majority of the power goes to 5 locations: Metropolitan Southern California, Nevada, Arizona, Los Angeles and Southern California. Edison Company. The level of water has decreased in recent years. In the past, the water level was much higher than it is today. Electricity can be generated as long as the level of water is above 950 feet. In this slide you see the location of Lake Mead and also the location of the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam was built in the 1930s on the Colorado River, which also resulted in the creation of Lake Mead. The water from the Colorado River that forms Lake Mead comes from the northeast. The distribution of the Colorado River's water between the United States and Mexico. A treaty with Mexico signed in 1944, which is related to the use of the water in the Colorado River, the Tijuana River and the Rio Grande, allows Mexico to receive 1.5 million acre-feet per year. The 1944 water treaty between the United States and Mexico is still in effect and is one of the world's finest examples of binational cooperation in managing shared transboundary water resources. The distribution of the Colorado River's water between states that border the river. The Upper Basin. In 1948, the Upper Colorado River Basin Compact was established to specify annual allotments to the following states: the Lower Basin. In 1928, the Boulder Canyon Project established specific annual allotments from the Lower Basin. Information and pictures about Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. Construction began in 1931. Opening date was in 1936. Surface area 247 square miles. Maximum water depth 590 feet. At an elevation of 1,221.4 feet, the lake would contain approximately 28,945,000 acre-feet of water. Arizona, California and Nevada made an agreement in 2019 called the Drought Contingency Plan. They agreed to share in water reduction until 2026 to help reduce the risk of Lake Mead falling to critically low levels. It also calls for progressively larger cutbacks if Lake Mead continues to drop in the coming years.